Hello, this is Mav the Wicked, and I'm here to talk to you about something that is very near to my heart. Near because I like to fling things at it and throw all sorts of bubbles and bits and see what makes it bleed. I'm talking, of course, about Christianity. And I'm not really talking about Christianity per se, but I'm talking about modern Christianity. And the fact that it is not Christianity at all from the origins of Christianity. Now, a lot of times you'll see people defending Christianity on the pure basis of its tradition and how long it has been established. Now, this would be very good, not really, but it would be an argument that would make sense within their own logical faculties if it were true. The problem is that Christianity itself has been around for a long time. The Christianity that we know currently is not the Christianity that it began. There is no long-standing tradition of Christianity. In fact, I would like to put forward that the Christianity that we see this year and the Christianity years ago and before have changed so dramatically that it's not really the same thing anymore. The Christianity of 50 years ago is not really the same thing as the Christianity now, and earlier and earlier. Now, the thing is, this is something they could say, oh, well, when you're talking about science, that's the same thing. Science always changes. But science doesn't claim an absolute truth. Instead, it says a few principles of how to examine things and how to actually change. It actually puts forth motions to change when you're wrong. As far as religion, specifically Christianity, goes, it says we're never wrong, we're never wrong, we're never going to change, but then it changes anyway because it's wrong. The problem is, there were, at some points in time, very good practices in Christianity that Christianity completely abandoned. So, some could say religion's not really wrong, and I wouldn't really be able to argue with them. It's just that the current Christianity is wrong. It goes against all the positive things from the original Christianity. Let's take a look, firstly, with the idea that Christianity is always right, which comes from, of course, the Bible, which is the most anti-Christian document in the face of the earth. Now, why would I say that? Because despite all the things that are within the Bible that defend Christians, that make Christians who they are, I mean, it's their holy book. But it's not. Because Christians, from their origin, had many holy books. They did not want to combine them. In fact, combining them was rallied against in early Christianity. Combining the books would delude Christianity, would make Christianity something that did not require the seekers of Christianity to study, to read, to learn, and that's what Christianity was started on. It started about these monotheists that were questioning the polytheism of Rome and saying to the Romans, we have studied your religion and have found things where it comes from these different origins, and we frankly find it silly, so we're just going to worship our one God, which doesn't come from nature or from the sky or from the sun or anything like that. So to us it makes more sense. And people can argue one way or another, well, it really does make more sense, but they had a logical process in the beginning for why they wanted to believe in the Sky Daddy as opposed to the daddy that was made out of sky. So, the thing is, there were all sorts of different beliefs in Christianity that the people that really weren't studying as much, they were like, I don't really like that one, I don't really like it, I want it gone. So, They tried to set up something so that they could find out who was the heretic and who was not, who was the Christian and who was not. So, if you read the book of Job, they wanted to be able to say that's not holy, but they didn't have a holy doctrine. They had tons and tons of different books, and who was to say which one was holy and which one was not, if they were all based upon the life of the central character of Christianity, Jesus Christ. Now, there was this huge meeting, and they were like, let's put these all in a book. That's where people started thinking. Immediately afterwards, when it was all in one book, they started reading a very popular phrase in Revelation that every word in this book is true, and everything in this book happened. Do not take one word from this book. Do not add one word to this book. Of course, that book was Revelations, not the Bible. But it was much more convenient to people who were trying to make one holy doctrine to perpetuate this misinterpretation, this out of context. Christians love to say that, but their entire modern religion is out of context. They would like to say that you're taking things out of context, but in the context of Revelation, it's talking about Revelation. Revelations was not written to be a part of one grand book that is supposed to be combined. That's never mentioned. In fact, that was unheard of. That would be defiling the book in its own holiness. In fact, by adding Revelations to the rest of the books, you already violated that first thing that said, do not add to or take away from this book. You added a ton of other books and said it was one book. You already defiled everything it was supposed to be talking about. So you can say, you could try and say, well, it wouldn't have ended up together if it wasn't meant to be by God. But the problem with that is, that would mean God said, don't add anything to Revelation. Duh, I'm just kidding. Add everything to Revelation. Everything you believe, just not the things you don't like. Make sure you get rid of all of those people that are trying to say that Jesus is gay, because I don't like that. That makes me uncomfortable. Make sure that you get rid of all of those scriptures that are saying that Jesus may be living a lifestyle that you don't feel comfortable with. Make sure you get rid of all the scriptures that say that Job may have actually been doing, well, Job, I'm sorry there, getting a bit excited and thought about my favourite character of the Bible who gets everything taken from him, but really meant to talk about a completely different character of the Bible, betrays old Jesus. Oh, you know him, I know him. Name slips the mind. I'm just going off my head with all these things. I mean, imagine if I was going straight on through with line after line, how much evidence I could bring up with this, but I'm just going straight off my head. Oh, Judas. And there were two Judai, but one of them betrayed Jesus. And there was a sect of Christianity that thought that it was not really an act of betrayal, but a commandment from Jesus. The reason this was made into something that people said was heretical was not because of the newness of it, because there are scriptures in the Bible today that are newer than the entire Gospel of Judas. But it was made heretical because it was not only hinting that maybe Jesus thought that a guy was pretty. I mean, that's all it really would have said. It wouldn't have even said... There were much worse scriptures that would have said Jesus was straight on homosexual, but this one was pretty much just saying this. Jesus thought this guy was pretty. Anyway, it would have also have said that the physical world and materialism and money and all of that is the evil. That Jesus had to die not only because he had to die for your sins, but because the power of the soul rests in escaping this damned place called earth, and that the physical is highly, highly wrong. Now, you might say, that's not really that contrary to the church's point of view. But it kind of is. Especially at that time when these books were compiled, because Christianity was rising up, was starting to try and was becoming more powerful, and starting to make a little bit of money. And when you start making money, when you're poor, you can say, yeah, all that gold, that's bullshit, we don't need money. But when you're starting to make money, and you're starting to get to, when you get your nice fancy camel, and your nice good food that's not just sopping rotten bread with mold on it. Once you actually start making money, it's a whole different ball game. And that was what it was with Christianity. They were like, well, we kind of want money. And so, and the whole fact it was Judas. I mean, I can't leave out the glaringly obvious thing that people really don't like to think that this person they thought was a betrayer might have had a higher purpose than that, because, well, that makes things complicated. Then they have to think, I mean, what if people's motives are purely black and white? I mean, that would be terrible for a religion. Motives that aren't black and white, sneaking around. I mean, who would sneak around and plant false things and viewpoints to motivate their goals? I mean, surely Christianity, by its very nature of making the Bible, wasn't doing this. But it was. Anyway, it's been nice talking to you. This has been Mav the Wicked. This goes especially out to Sarah Holland, my beautiful love. Love you, and I will kill you later. I'm not wearing a blonde wig on here. Please don't make me.